Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Trek fans alike, particularly this time Star Trek Lower Decks fans. Welcome back to the channel. I am the time-travelling toy collector, and this is the Star Trek Lower Decks official Starships collection, USS Titan, as produced by Hero Collector and as sold in the marketplace by Master Replicas. So a big thank you to Master Replicas for getting this ship out there in the market. As many of you will be aware, Eaglemoss recently went offline, so to speak, and there's been quite the struggle to get stuff back in play. Master Replicas are one of the companies that's swept in, purchased a lot of the sort of redundant stock from this company, and has been selling it in, I think, quite an orderly and effective fashion. And I think they're doing a really great job. And this is one of the latest things that I've managed to pick up from them. I nearly didn't. I nearly didn't go for it because it wasn't really it wasn't really on my to collect list. Let me rotate it so you can have, while I'm blabbling, you can have a little look at the ship itself. But this is, so far, as you've probably seen from another video, if you haven't, do check it out, because I think it's one of the best ships Eaglemoss produced. It's the USS Cerritos as an XL edition. And that is absolutely fabulous. And it's, of course, created in animation, accurate colouring and styling. So I was a little bit sort of reluctant to go too into that. But then the USS Titan, it won me over. It won me over. And I must admit, there is, as you'll be aware, there is a very real and very limited amount of stock now for the official Star Trek Starships collections, no matter what range they are, because of the situation with Eaglemoss. So I think there may have been an element of FOMO, fear of missing out, that kicked in with this, leading me ultimately to purchase it. It doesn't come with a magazine, as many of the sort of salvaged models don't, because they were obviously printed and published separately to the manufacturer of the actual starships, and probably I don't know, but I would imagine that they were created under separate contracts, etc., etc. And I fully appreciate the logic, the business logic of purchasing the stock and selling the stock you have. Otherwise, there would have needed to be additional investment by Master Replica and other companies like Sci-Fi Collector, etc., who are they're obviously there to make money and to sustain their own business, but also to fulfill that need in the market. So I understand why we're getting these things without the magazines. And to be honest, whilst the magazines do have a lot of added value, of the two things, I'm not putting the magazines on display. It is the ships. And again, I'm so glad I picked this one up. I think it looks lovely. I dare say, I'll get this out of the way straight away, there's probably those people who will look at this and go, but it's not 100% animation accurate. I get that, but it was designed to be a mass-produced item at a very particular price point. It's not some sort of masterpiece collection. It's a mass-produced retail item. So I think some compromises are going to be inevitable in order to bring these products to market, and I would rather have the product brought to market in as close a representation as I think it's reasonable to get, rather than never have the product brought to market, particularly because they do look so good when they're lined up. And I think I'll probably do some video in the future where I start to bring these together. I know you get a lot of people doing comparisons from ship A, ship B, ship C on their YouTube channels, and I've tended to steer away from that because I think each ship in its own right has its own qualities, and it isn't always useful from my point of view to do comparisons. That said, I think maybe showing what they look like as a fleet, or maybe putting them together, that might be something that people find of interest. So I might do that in the future, so watch this space. In fact, why not drop a subscription to the channel now, so if and when I do start doing that, you don't miss out on that, or indeed any other videos that might be coming your way. That would be great, and it's just a tiny small click for you, but a huge step forward for the channel. Similarly, if you are liking the content that I put out here, do smash the like button. It does make a difference. So, self-promotion out of the way, I'm going to pick the ship up and get it off the stand. First of all, I will just comment on the fact that, as ever, we get one of these translucent stands. We have the USS Titan registry details on the bottom there, if you can see that. And it's, apart from the fact that just happened, well, that's going straight into the outtakes. Oh, I don't do outtakes. Apart from the fact that just happened, it is, I was going to say, it's quite sturdy, but the centre of gravity is quite good, so I don't get a sense that at any point it's going to fall. So here we have the animation version of the USS Titan as it appeared in Lower Decks. And I think, as I said before, this is a really, really lovely ship. I do. Just take you down the length of it there. And now I'll take you across the side. So you can see the registry there, NCC 80102. We can see the phaser strips there pulled out in that lovely sort of, I was going to say cyan blue, but I think it's a deeper blue than that. We've got the bridge there. You can see all of the lighting effects. And I do think what it looks to me like Eaglemoss have done here, I don't know whether this is a feedback related thing or not. It might be because it's animation, it's supposed to be animation accurate, is that on the saucer section at least, and I'll have a look at the secondary hull in a moment, it doesn't look like those windows, the window lights, which we assume those are, do actually have indentations to correspond with. That's one of the things that a lot of people have had issues with in the past, on a quality perspective with Hero Collector and Eaglemoss starships, is lining up some of the tamper graphics with the indentations. Well, it looks like they've done away with the indentations and just gone for the tamper graphics, which, you know, may be again another compromise in terms of the sculpt, but actually it does mean that your eye isn't drawn to the fact they don't line up, because if those indentations aren't there, there's no error in terms of lining up. I personally would not be sitting staring at the screen to try and see if those lights are screen accurate, because also they might be from a point when some people have got their lights turned on and others have got their lights turned off. So I'm just gonna get over that and move on. The sculpt is, however, beautiful. You can see escape pods on there. It is a really nicely detailed starship. We've got that sort of over the top bridging section, which I don't think is the bridge. I think the bridge is, you know, here in the saucer section, but maybe it is. But it does make for a really lovely silhouette. And again, the surface detailing is beautiful. We move on to the secondary hull, trying to keep the light fully on it. Again, really nice. The nacelles, we have these low down swept back nacelles on these pylons, and I think the coloration there is lovely. Despite it being animation, we do have some translucent plastic on the Bassard collector on both sides, which I think is a very nice touch. Let's take it from the rear. And again, some lovely detailing. It's not excessive, but it's good enough and it's clear enough, and I think that's the shuttle bay, and I love how that's presented there. Let's bash her over. So now we can see the underside, and I'll tell you now, this Titan, the underside of the saucer section, to me, very reminiscent of the Enterprise E. Maybe it's me, but it is reminiscent of the Enterprise E. Presumably that's the captain's yacht. We have the sensor there, which is pulled out. I don't even see that very clearly. It's pulled out in this translucent blue plastic. I'm trying to get it so you can see. Whatever I do, it's not going to work. I'll try and capture it in some of the photos later. The underside of the hull, again, we've got some of those windows there, and again, I think they do have, no, maybe I'm imagining it. I was going to say I think they do have indentations, but I might be completely making that up. It's quite hard to tell. I think there is a little indentation there, so it seems like the secondary hull does have some, and again they're slightly off. That's how I'm noticing it. More escape pods there, and of course we have we see some of the mechanics around which I think is quite nice, poking out of the nacelle. We see some of the mechanics of the drive system. We've got United Federation of Planets logo along there, you can see that, and the registration continues. The tradition of being there on the nacelle, very nice indeed it is. So a beautiful ship. We've got impulse engines as well here, you can see those. I think they're nicely pulled out with that sort of shock of red. So I'm going to pop this back into the cradle. You see it just slips in there. Please just slip in there. And it's a nice fit. It's thrown back slightly. So as I say, the centre of gravity is appropriate. You don't feel like it's got a little bit of essential wiggle to avoid sort of stresses to the plastic, but you don't get a sense that it's going to collapse, fall off and shatter your cabinet, and indeed every other ship in your cabinet. I really like the ship. As I say, it's a nice addition to the range. I'm really glad we've got it. I think anything we get currently is a bonus, all things considered. We could easily be getting nothing. And I believe at the time of recording, which is early August 2023, that Master Replicas are already talking about starting to produce their own line of Starship Collection replicas. I think they're starting with, and don't quote me on this yet, but I think if I've understood rightly and watched social media for updates, it's the Expanse and Stargate. Two things that I don't really collect. I have no real connection with either of those. I probably should, but I don't currently. But I think there was talk of them getting the license to start producing ships in the same sort of scale and presumably price point. So if that is the case, then that's really positive, because it could mean we could start seeing some new ships from Strange New Worlds, from Lower Decks, from Star Trek Picard. There are a few obvious ones that I think everyone's clamoring for. I won't talk about them here in case you've not seen either of those shows, and intend to, because that would probably constitute some spoilers. So I'm going to be good and not mention it. So, would the Lower Decks official Starships collection USS Titan belong in your collection? Does it deserve a slot on your shelf? For me, it 100% does, and I'm really glad I forked out for it. I think it's a lovely ship. I think the colour scheme is brilliant. It's very evocative of the animated series it comes from, and I'm really happy I have it. So it's a win for me. Only you really know, having had a look at it now, whether or not it's something that does belong in your collection. To be honest, I hope it does, because I think it's a really lovely ship. And like anything, these things only really continue if people are in a position to support them. I think I would love it if certain things were available on a kind of payment plan. Not just for myself, but I think that would make purchasing it easier for a lot of other people. If you speak to people at conventions and online, etc., and when there are sort of mass releases or a lot of pre-orders that go out at the same time across ranges, I'm not just talking about starships, I think it is sometimes hard for people to be able to budget for that, particularly in the current climate. I think it's hard. So I do think it would be nice. I don't know how practical it would be, or what kind of business model you'd need to adjust to make it work for you. But I think it would be nice if there was some way that this could be managed, so that people could almost put a deposit down. Those like in-demand toys, and I'm sure others do too, allow you to put a 10% deposit down and then pay the remainder when it becomes due, I think 2 or 3 or 4 days before shipping. And I wonder if there's some sort of happy medium there, whether you can put a deposit down and make, you know, 3 or 4 installment payments up until the thing is released. I'm just spitballing. I don't even know if there'd be a market for it, but I just, listening to some people and their concerns about being able to catch, you know, these things before they disappear and fall into the hands of the scalpers of doom, it would be nice, you know. And I think, and I get it, I totally get it. I think people think it would be nice if they could sort of get their own chance to secure it, their copy, because they're not, you know, they're not cheap. And, you know, these things are, they're not essential purchases, relatively speaking, and they are considered purchases. So people need to be, if people are going to be able to access them, well, frankly, they need to be accessible. Otherwise, the marketplace could dry up. So that sounded a bit negative. I didn't want to end the video on a negative thing, because I think it's a really lovely ship, and I think it's possibly some really positive news about Master Replicas, and I dare say more positive news will follow. So anyway, trying to bring it back to some positivity, let's go. Does this belong on your shelf and in your collection? Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully this has given you an opportunity to have a look at the USS Titan as it appears in its cartoon livery from Lower Decks, and it's helped you make your mind up whether it's something you want to pursue or it's a soft or hard pass at this time. Either way, if it's been helpful, do please like the video. It's a great help for the channel, and as I mentioned earlier, please subscribe. It means the absolute strange new worlds to me. You've been a fantastic audience for the last 17 or so minutes. I've been the time traveling toy collector, and this has been the hero collector USS Titan as appearing in the Star Trek Lower Decks animated series. All it remains for me to say is take care. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. One to beam up, and remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. Bye bye for now.